When the menopause weight creeps up, many women start searching for the best menopause diet. But the one thing that's really important, probably in any age or stage, is balanced blood sugar. So in this video, we are going to walk through what blood sugar actually is. Just a quick little rundown. We're going to talk about blood sugar balance, and we're going to talk about 4 risk factors, 4 reasons why I'm making blood sugar a more important focus in my menopause health than I ever have before. Because looking at your blood sugar is going to help you manage or decrease some of the risk factors that we all face in menopause and postmenopause.
I'll also give you some tips that will help you balance your blood sugar in practical ways.
And this video may even help you with those 3 p.m. cravings, those sugar crash cravings that you have every day like clockwork. And yes, managing blood sugar may affect your weight. 2 years ago, I went to the doctor and I was told my A1C levels were getting a little high. So that's a marker for blood sugar, a change in your blood sugar. Now, I had been postmenopausal for 10 years and I really didn't think a lot about my blood sugar because I exercise. I relatively eat healthy. I eat relatively healthy is what I want to say. Sure, I'm human. I have some cravings. I thought I was having a balanced approach to my diet. But as you'll see, there's some changes that happen when we are in menopause. And instead of focusing on like a sugar detox or cleaning all the sugar out of my cupboards, I did rely on all the things I know about just the foundations of health. But I did start to pay a little more attention to my blood sugar and things that spiked my blood sugar. Now, I did not run out and get a glucose monitor or anything like that. I just went back to what I knew about things that are like simple carbs and when I eat them and even how I feel when I do eat them. So if you're in perimenopause or menopause with symptoms like weight gain or hot flashes or anything else, I always invite you to take more of a broader bird's eye view of your health. My name is Tanya. That's what I like to do here. I want to have you look at things like sleep, like your relationships, like purpose in your life, like joy, nutrition. These things do matter, but so does your blood sugar. Blood sugar balance is like giving your hormones a stable place to land. And when you don't do that, well, it's kind of like you're walking on soft sand and maybe even quicksand. Now, of course, I'm not a doctor. This is for information and educational purposes. You always need to go to your licensed medical professional for blood tests and advice on your health. Maybe it'll help if I give you a simple definition of what blood sugar actually is. Just quickly, blood sugar is the term for the glucose in your blood. Your body, including your brain, runs on glucose. Now, I know if you're a keto person or a carnivore person, you're going to comment below that your body can run on ketones. Yes, it can, but that is a whole other video and that's not what we're talking about today. But once we hit menopause, balanced blood sugar might become a bit of a struggle. I've learned that personally, and we may be at risk for insulin resistance. Let's just touch on quickly what imbalanced blood sugar might feel like. This is where you might need something to eat in the afternoon, like you crave sugar or coffee because you're so fatigued. Maybe you crashed after lunch. It's your body saying, give me some energy and give it to me quickly. You can get hangry, that hungry, irritable feeling when you need to eat. You might feel jittery, you might feel sweaty. I mean, low blood sugar can actually be very dangerous if it's really low. You may also wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and can't fall back asleep. That might be a sign of a little blood sugar imbalance. So I'm going to move on to the 4 reasons why you need to really think about blood sugar in menopause. And number 1 is what we talked about already, and it's insulin resistance. When estrogen drops in menopause and beyond, your risk of becoming insulin resistant is higher because of the relationship between the 2 hormones. Insulin can't get glucose to get into the cells of your body. The cells are resistant. They're just not responding. One of the teachers I had always talked about insulin resistance as insulin knocking on the door of the cell, and the cell is refusing to open the door to let the glucose or the blood sugar in. And the crappy thing about insulin resistance, and I have a source for all of these things in my blog post. I will link it below in the description. Actually, I'll put the source in the description. But there are many risks to being insulin resistant. It's the second thing that I want you to think about in menopause when it comes to your health and balanced blood sugar is your brain. Unfortunately, many of my friends have watched their parents go through cognitive changes like dementia or Alzheimer's. And I know it isn't fun. I watched my mother suffer multiple strokes with cardiovascular disease, and it is sometimes something I think about as, is this my fate? My friends worry about that too. When I was a dental hygienist, this was talked about a lot in many continuing education courses, considered to be almost like the third type of diabetes, high blood sugar affecting cognition in the brain. And the mouth and oral health is very much related to blood sugar as well. Anywho, your brain, it's command central. It's a very high energy consumer. Your brain is like the hungriest organ in your body, and it consumes a lot of glucose. But an article from the CDC notes that both high and low glucose can have an effect on the brain. So balance is key. And the reason that frequently high blood sugar, chronically high blood sugar may not be great for your brain is because it can damage blood vessels. Now let's move on to reason number 3. You need to think about balanced blood sugar in menopause. Your heart. If the blood vessels in your brain can be affected by imbalanced or high blood sugar, then what about the vessels in your heart? Yes, your whole circulatory system can be affected by blood sugar imbalances. That drop in estrogen is related to changes in cardiovascular health. This is why there is more of a risk for ladies in menopause. There's more of a risk for heart attack and stroke. This is because estrogen has a more protective role when it comes to cardiovascular health. The loss of ovarian hormones may also have an effect on your lipid profile that we already talked about, that cholesterol, those triglycerides. And estrogen also protects the lining of your blood vessels and your lymph vessels. Lymph vessels are really important too to your cardiovascular health. Insulin resistance, as I mentioned, is a risk factor in menopause, and it's related to blood vessel damage. Then of course, this is going to relate to your cardiovascular health. High blood sugar can damage blood vessels over time. Let's get to the one you're probably really interested in, which is your cravings. Food cravings are defined as a really intense desire to eat something super specific. When you get a craving, it's probably not for a carrot. It's probably for like a donut or for a cookie, chocolate, or maybe even popcorn. Cravings are not like regular hunger and can be driven by different factors. So cravings can be driven by certain factors. And I've said this somewhere in here, the ebb and flow of cravings, the environment that you're in, your biology, your behavior, or your habits. Oh, and emotions. I should have put that at the beginning of the ebb, but those can drive your cravings too. Imbalanced blood sugar can drive cravings. If you are starting off the day without protein, without fat, with some simple carbs, your blood sugar is going to go up and crash, necessitating your body to say, hey, I need some more energy. Give me some. Go get that chocolate and get it now. And all of these things come together in perimenopause. Women seem to complain more about cravings in this stage of life than they ever have before. And I don't think it's just one thing. There's a lot of pressure in the midlife stage, at work, at home, within ourselves. So there can be a lot of reasons why we can have cravings, but imbalanced blood sugar is definitely one of them. These can happen at any time. This could be your 9 p.m. Netflix binge, which is more of a habit, or it could be the 3 p.m. crash where you want some coffee and something sweet because of your biology. Your biology is saying, I need energy. And when you reach for these high glycemic foods, this is where the blood sugar swings come into play, because now you're on a blood sugar roller coaster where it's going high and low. And if you don't know what high glycemic snacks are, these are the ones that cause that rapid rise in blood sugar. Some people will point at fruit as a culprit, a sweet potato. And so I don't want to go there because these are like whole foods and they have lots of nutrients and they have fiber. Everybody's different though when it comes to blood sugar. And in the beginning, I said I didn't use a glucose monitor, but some people need to. I mean, some people are way more affected by a sweet potato than another person. So if you have a medical condition, your doctor might prescribe a blood glucose monitor. Stands to reason though, sugary things like soda or candy or even a piece of toast in the morning might cause a blood sugar swing for you. And it feels like a cycle. You start to want these quick energy foods on a regular basis, not just because of blood sugar though. Like there are other things. Foods can be engineered to be so palatable, they're hard to resist. And once you get a taste for super sweet things, then something like a peach or an apple is like maybe not going to cut it. I just want to put that in there because health is not one way of thinking. We can get very rigid in our thinking when it comes to even the non-diet approach. Like if you just didn't restrict yourself, you wouldn't crave. That's not necessarily always true for people who really get hooked on these highly palatable foods. It's brain chemistry too. Let's quickly go into 6 tips for balanced blood sugar in menopause. And number 1 is getting in enough protein. Many women do not get in enough protein, especially at breakfast. And that is the number 1 thing you can do to stabilize your blood sugar in the morning. I have a great video on protein. I'll pop it in the description. It even has a free cheat sheet for you. You don't have to sign up for anything, so you can make sure that you understand where protein is in certain foods. Number 2, you may have heard, like, don't eat naked carbs. Pair your carbs. If you do like to have toast and you're having a hard time getting off that routine in the morning, what else can you eat? Can you add in an egg? Can you do avocado egg toast? Can you put away the calorie portion of that? Because really, if you're restricting your food in the morning and not getting protein, start to pay attention if you are craving at 11 o'clock or after lunch and you really want some sugary foods. What kind of pairs can you put to your carbs? And I don't mean necessarily a pair. What kind of things can you put with your carbohydrates so they're not naked? It's a cliche saying, but it kind of makes sense. 3rd tip, don't skip meals. That can play havoc with imbalanced blood sugar. And I know intermittent fasting is really trendy. And there's also some really famous doctors talking about intermittent fasting, but try a more balanced approach first. I would say try and eat regularly. Look at what you're eating first and focus on blood sugar balance before you go down that rabbit hole. My 4th tip is to take a post-meal walk. It's sometimes called the fart walk on TikTok, and it is a great way to get blood sugar moving into cells. And it's super easy. I also have a video about that, and it's linked in the description. My 5th tip would be track your symptoms, not always your weight. I know we're brought up to track our food, and it's okay if you want to track your food. Some people get too triggered by tracking food, but try and track how you feel along with the food and the way your day is going. What I mean is mood and sleep and focus are all tied to blood sugar. Notice how you feel with small shifts, one way or another. Are you more hungry when you can't sleep? Are you more moody and then do you reach for more carbohydrate? Start to pay attention to that. Tracking how you feel in relation to the way your day is going can give you so much information on your symptoms in menopause. We don't have to get it all perfect. We just have to start paying attention to these little things. I hope you liked the video. I would love it if you actually shared it with somebody. And I would love it if you subscribed or left a comment. I'm really glad that you're still here, and I'll see you in the next video.